Hello and welcome. This is the newsroom for Monday, November 9, 2020. In the headlines, schools reopen after an 8-month lapse due to COVID-19. Teachers and students say they're satisfied with the systems in place.
I think it's better than online classes because it's more, you could focus more.
$1.1 billion in contracts signed to develop housing schemes as the government looks to hand out house lots next year. As authorities look for local leads in that massive drug bust in Belgium, they stumble upon explosives at a Region 4 property. A mother seeks justice after finding her missing son in the mortuary. And in sport, Guyanese Shimron Hetmeyer is excited to feature in his maiden IPL final tomorrow.
It's a dream come true for me as well. I always wanted to play in IPL finals as well.
With the news, I'm Neil Marks. We're glad you could join us. Schools reopened across Guyana on Monday, allowing for students from grades 10 to 12 to return to classes after an 8-month lapse due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Students from technical, vocational, and educational training institutions also returned to school.
Schools across the country have reopened their doors today to allow for face-to-face learning after being closed for several months as a necessary reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. We've been visiting some of those schools this morning, and we did run into Education Minister Prem Manichan, who gave her brief comments on her observation during visits to several other schools. We did get an opportunity to speak to several parents and students and teachers who also told us that they were quite comfortable with the systems that have been put in place to ensure the safety of those students and the safety of the teachers.
I think it's better than online classes because it's more, you could focus more in the school, because online classes you have a lot of distractions on the phone and stuff.
Okay. And since you came here this morning, are you satisfied with the safety system that have
Yes, there's a lot of pipes and hand sanitizers and stuff.
I've brought my hand sanitizer and disinfectant wipes to wipe the tables. And so.
I got all of my sanitations ready, my tissues, my alcohol, spraying bottle right here, and sanitizers and all the things necessary. I think the ministry has done enough, but my only concern is the children maintaining the social distancing.
We prepared for the opening today by having several meetings with our respective staff members. Each head of department had to submit a proposal. Submit a proposal as to how they intend to engage the students using the face-to-face and the blended approach. As it relates to the blended approach, our teachers will continue to work online, and we would have prepared a shift system which engages the children using the rotation organizational structure. Our students will be working between 9 to 12 on those specific days and 1 to 3.
We did observe that attendance is below what was expected and anticipated. Education Minister Prem Manichan did say that the Education Ministry was still doing its forecast for how students and parents and teachers would respond to face-to-face learning. Also, while it is not an indictment on some of the schools, we did learn that some schools in the city and across the country were not able to open their doors this morning, but will have all systems in place to allow for a safe reopening commencing next Monday. Let's take a look at what Education Minister Prem Manichan had to say during her visit this morning.
This is it's not a photo op. This is a serious exercise for us. We gave parents a choice. We said you can keep your children at home if they're engaged. You can bring them out if you wish to. You can get transfers if they live far away, if they're attending a school that's far away from home. And so these are all options parents had. It's not you must do as we speak. We're not in normal time. So for this time, we're going to flex with many of the rules. The only thing we want to make sure happens here is that these children are prepared for their 2021 exams. Different schools will use different approaches. We have allowed wide latitude. We're not from the ministry using the big stick approach and saying you must do this or you must do that. We're giving schools the opportunity to set their own timetable and their own schedules with the view that they best know what they have to do to achieve the purpose of getting our children learning for effectively to be able to write and pass these exams in 2021.
Reporting for the newsroom from Wilford Avenue, which is a major school district in the city, I'm Kurt Campbell.
More on the reopening of schools a little bit later in the program. Now, since the PPP government took office in August this year, there have been no allocation of house lots, but over 1,000 persons have applied for one. No allocation was done because of poor infrastructure and no water or electricity in areas identified to be developed for housing, Minister of Housing and Water Kellon Crawford told the media on Monday. As a result, approximately $1.1 billion in contracts were signed to develop these areas and also provide upgraded works to existing housing schemes and areas. The minister assured that citizens can expect a large number of allocations in 2021.
22 contractors signed 40 contracts on Monday at the Artichon Conference Center at a total value of $1.1 billion. The contracts were signed for road upgrades, bridges, and as well as construction of internal roads, install lighting and water connection in communities in regions 3, 4, 5, and 6. Over $600 million will be spent to upgrade roads and bridges alone. For the East Bank corridor, a total of $426 million will be injected for upgrade works, while on the East Coast, $100 million will be injected. Chief Executive Officer at the Central Housing and Planning Authority, Sherwin Greaves, signed the contracts and spoke about the details of the contracts.
In Eccles, contracts will be signed to do road upgrades. In Commons Lodge, reinforced concrete bridge and access road. Herstellin, road upgrade. LBI, access roads. Monrepo, internal roads. RDZ, internal roads, Ordnance Fortland, access roads, Williamburg, access road, Prospect, internal roads, Providence, internal roads, Parfait Harmony road upgrades, Great Diamond roads upgrade, Experiment, access road.
Meanwhile, Minister of Housing and Water Kellon Crawford explained that since the government took up office, there has been no new allocation of house lots. The minister said the previous APNU AFC administration allocated over 2,000 house lots with no access to lands along with no water or electricity connectivity. There have been over 100 new applicants in the system since August this year. The minister said the plan is to ensure there is infrastructure in place before allocating house lots.
And so hence some of these contracts that you see here are for the opening of a number of new areas. And so hence that is why we could not have started our allocation process. It's very easy because if you examine the system as it is, at the end of 2019 there were 6,000 to 7,000 applicants in the system, active applicants. So it's very easy for us to pull from the system and make an allocation. But that is not what we want to do. We want to ensure that we put some infrastructure in place, which will also have the amenities of water and electricity. Pushing to ensure that when we have some of these works, most of these works, of course, will go far away by the end of this year. And so hence we're expecting by the end of this year, very early into the new year, to start making some allocations. And you'll realize, and that's why I've been asking for patience from the persons who are waiting in the system. The reason for that is that we are tackling the whole backlog in terms of a number of fronts. One, you have capital injection from government, like what we have here. Two, we have, I alluded to earlier in my speech, about raising of capital for the infrastructure and housing program. And so once all of that is finalized, you can expect allocations being done in large numbers from next year.
All contractors were urged to produce quality and timely work. The ministry stated that there will be zero tolerance for slothful work and contractors will be held accountable for substandard work and even face legal action. Additionally, within another week, the ministry will be signing more contracts under the Adequate Housing and Urban Accessibility Program to the tune of $535 million for construction works and upgrading of roads and bridges in the Liliendal, Patterson, Turkine and Commons Park area. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Patwo.
Local authorities are now reporting and investigating the discovery of explosives at a house in Region 4 as they look for Guyanese links to a massive drug bust in Belgium. Kurt Campbell reports.
The Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit and the Guyana Police Force have discovered explosives at a Region 4 property as they follow local leads in the massive drug bust in Belgium. The discovery was confirmed by Home Affairs Minister Robeson Ben Monday morning when approached for an update on the domestic investigations in relation to the 11.5 tons of cocaine found in a container which was shipped from Guyana to Belgium. Ben said a number of raids were carried out over the last 2 days by law enforcement officials. These raids took them to several houses as they followed local leads.
There were a number of houses searched. I'm aware that care was taken to enter a particular house. There appeared to be a rigged up explosive arrangement at the normal entrance to that house. The issue is being reviewed too. But yes, the efforts of the law enforcement, the canoe and the police are being attended to by certain risks in the matter.
He said while the government has given its European, Belgian and American law enforcement officials the assurance of vigorous investigations here, this is a testimony to the risk involved. A concerned Ben told the newsroom that he is extremely alarmed that the bust and that the fact that the shipment was allowed to pass through Guyana's surveillance systems.
I have to say that we're extremely alarmed at the fact of the shipment, of the fact of it escaping or being allowed to pass through the surveillance systems in terms of container scanners, container checks, and all those things in relation to the matter. The thought is that this activity could not have happened overnight, that it had to be in preparation and planning for a long period of time, and that it have taken quite a bit of time to plan and do the logistics and to, I think, to compromise persons and fooling others too in respect of making the shipment. So it had to be several months in preparation.
Meanwhile, head of the Customs Anti-Narcotic Unit, Kanu, James Singh, told the newsroom that 3 employees from the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, and a broker were arrested in connection with the huge drug bust. Detectives are still hunting for a local shipper, Marlon Primo, of 701 Commons Lodge, East Coast, Demerara, and 69 Atlanticville, East Coast, Demerara. The bust was reported by Belgian Times as the largest in the world. The massive load of cocaine left Guyana on September 25 and was opened in Belgium on October 27. The illegal substance was disguised as scrap metal and placed inside a steel container, which was in turn packed into a sea container and loaded into a transatlantic vessel. Local authorities found the ship stopped in Guadeloupe for a few days and are now looking at the container seals to see whether they were changed. Kurt Campbell, Newsroom.
Police have reported that a 26-year-old man who entered the home of a Tamari East Bank Demerara businessman was shot dead early Monday morning. Police said that the businessman, Baldia Rampersad, and his wife were awakened by a strange noise at around 2:30. Rampersad noticed the doorknob moving as if someone was trying to get in, and so he reached for his licensed shotgun and loaded 3 cartridges, police stated. When he opened his bedroom door, the businessman, police said, saw the shadow of someone running, and he gave chase and confronted the intruder in the kitchen. Police said a scuffle ensued, and during this time a shot went off. The suspect then ran into the dining area and kept gesturing as if he was reaching for a weapon, and the businessman fired another shot, police stated. The intruder then ran behind a wall and hid in a room, and after the businessman heard sounds, he fired off a next shot from behind the room wall. The suspect fell flat on the floor in a horizontal position, trembling, and moments after he was motionless, police stated. The intruder was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital and was pronounced dead on arrival. The police investigations are continuing. When the newsroom returns, a mother looking for her son for 3 days finds him in the mortuary. She wants answers. You're watching the newsroom. Now to a tragic story. 22-year-old Kellon Crawford of Annandale, East Coast, Demerara, was missing for 3 days. Then, his mother, Chandrawati Danraj, made a dreadful discovery. His body was lying in the mortuary at the Georgetown Public Hospital. Still reeling from shock, she was told that her son was killed when a speeding car slammed into him on the Annandale Public Road on November 1st. Isnel Pato has our story.
I didn't know my son get an accident, and nobody never tell me or put it in here anyway.
That was Chandrati Danraj, called Nadira. The son she spoke about was the youngest of four, 22-year-old Kellon Crawford. On November 1st, 2020, he left his Annandale East Coast Demerara home to visit friends, but he never returned. His mother explained that he was hired to start working as a porter on November 2nd, and it was unlike him to not come home or show up for work. The mother said she became worried after hours passed and there was no sign of her son. The next day, she decided to visit his friends, who said he left her place for home at about 2200 hours the night he died. 3 days later, his body was discovered with severe head injuries, a broken arm and ribs at the Georgetown Public Hospital. The family visited the morgue after an elderly man reached out and told them there was an accident on the Annandale Public Road the same night he went missing.
The big man said Kellon was in the car now. And when Kellon could ride in, he said he don't know where this car come. He said he's surprised this car come and start spinning with Kellon. And spinning with my son, oh Lord. He said, and he gave his body a leg down, a flick in the air and leg down. And the car keeps spinning until he reached in the trench to the wall. And he break the wall.
Regional Commander Senior Superintendent Kali Parashram told the newsroom that the driver of the car is presently on station bail. The commander said a file is being prepared to be sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for legal advice into the investigation. Meanwhile, the mother said she is disappointed with how the police handled the investigation when she was searching for her son. She first visited the Vigilance Police Station.
They sent me a BV. And BV said, no Crawford is here. Then I asked if I could call the place, and then they called, they said no Crawford. So the BV sent me back at Vigilance. So I go back there and I show the police, the people them say, it's there, I got to come, it's here. So we are sending me, getting me up and down. I'm a single person, I don't walk. It's bare money, passage I got to get.
Another young man reached out to the family and showed them video footage of the accident. The young man's mangled body was seen lying on the ground while the car involved in the accident ended up in front of the Annandale Mandir and broke a section of the fence. The grieving woman said she is just seeking peace and to give her son a proper burial.
I just want peace because my son died. I don't know about court story and everything. I don't want that. I just want peace. Let my son go down peacefully buried. Let he get a good casket, everything be normal. I'm not a warrior of these things. Just let the people come and make peace. I don't know about them, where it's about.
The mother is satisfied that her son will be remembered as a very friendly and respectful person. The family is seeking assistance to offset the funeral costs. Anyone willing to assist can contact 592-643-6411 or 592-647-1300. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanella Patwa.
A fire which started from a rubbish heap Sunday night completely destroyed the building which for many years housed Singh's Electronic World on Regent Street, Georgetown. On Monday morning, police had barricaded between Camp and Wellington Streets as the police and fire service continued their work. Fire Chief Marlon Gentle spoke with reporters.
Well, what we know so far is that there was some makeshift tent or something like that to start to sell maybe toys and some other Christmas items that was erected sometime during last week on this burnt out Sashi site. All the information we're getting suggests that the fire started from the articles or what was stored in that shed, and then it spread to the building immediately west, which was a building that was severely damaged or partially destroyed as a matter of fact. We haven't, well, as I speak to you now, the investigators are on the ground, they're working the fire scene. But the leads so far suggest the point of origin or where it started was from that shed. The reason why the fire spread so much, well, the conditions were high, right before fire spread last night. Winds, the building, the whole wall was primarily wood and it was not in too much of a great shape. So that's what abated the fire spreading to. But, you know, on reflection, the efforts of the fire service there, the units that went out there was commendable. They stuck to their plan. They went into attack and also containment mode very early, and that was already saved that fire from spreading west and also south.
The original owner, Kem Singh, gave up the business a few years ago and rented out the property. When Mr. Singh died a few months ago, the property was left to his children and they continued to rent the building. The building was first famous as a confectionery store for moviegoers to the nearby Metropole, Globe and Astor cinemas. Jason Singh, one of the children writing on Facebook, recalled that in the 80s and 90s, his father transitioned from food to electronics and laid the framework for the retail electronics sector and was a household name for many. He recalled that for many it was at Singh's Electronics World that they got their bicycle, video game set, black and white TV, then color TV and more. The Guyana Fire Service is continuing to investigate the fire which destroyed the building. Minister of Home Affairs Robeson Ben Monday said that instead of an Argentine forensic team, the government favors working with its usual partners from the United States, the United Kingdom and Canada to help local authorities solve the murders of the 3 teen boys who were killed in early September in West Coast Berbice. Minister Ben said local authorities are satisfied with the DNA analysis that was done in Guyana and overseas and continues to investigate the killings that sparked outrage nationwide. Minister Ben explained that the government has its normal and reliable recourse of overseas agencies that it works with and has no intention of sidelining those agencies.
The issue that we have is that DNA analyses have been done in Guyana and overseas. The normal recourse and reliable recourses we have, the normal overseas agencies we deal with in respect of further and replicate forensic analyses are in the United States, the FBI and the DEA, also the UK policing authorities and the Canadians. Those are the ones we normally resort to, and those are the ones which we will resort to. We have no particular preference to go outside the normal lines of engagement which we have in relation to these matters.
Nigel Hughes, attorney for the Henry boys, had said the families are keen on having an Argentine forensic anthropology team first announced by the police to investigate their deaths. The mutilated bodies of Isaiah, 16, and Joel, 18, were found in the cotton tree backlands at West Coast Berbice on September 6. Mass protests erupted following the killings. It was during those protests that 17-year-old Harish Singh was killed. The police have not been able to arrest anyone in connection with his murder. President Irfan Ali Sunday evening urged Guyanese to use the Hindu festival of Diwali to reflect their inner light. The president was speaking at the 6th Annual National Diya Light Up at Rahman's Park, which was organized by the organization Hindus for Selfless Service.
The inner light that is so important for us today as Guyanese. That inner light that leads us to a sense of consciousness. That inner light that tells us whether we are doing something right or something wrong. That inner light that tells us whether we are on the right path or on the wrong path. And tonight, my brothers and sisters, as a country and as a people, we must contemplate on this inner light. Each one of us must contemplate individually on that inner light. And to ask ourselves some very searching questions. Is my inner light contributing positively to the people of society, to the people of my community? Is my inner light selfish or selfless?
When the newsroom returns, teachers react to the decision to reopen school. Watching the newsroom. With schools reopened, teachers from schools which are not considered A grade have been speaking about why this was important and why they support the move.
I'm Miss Melanie Jones. I've been teaching for probably about 25 years now. We've never experienced anything like this in history. But, you know, as an individual, I feel, you know, we cannot be living in fear. You can't be stupid either. You know, we still have to take precautions and follow the COVID guidelines. But on the other hand, we still have to know how to live with the virus, because the virus might be here to stay for a long while. In the meanwhile, you know, the children have to be educated and they are lagging behind. As much as you have the virtual, it helps to some extent, but it doesn't fulfill in every aspect as how face-to-face would. In addition to that, you see, we are not a super school, and so the class system varies along the line. And so we have many students who are not so fortunate to have access to internet and even have the tools, to even have access to that too. So, you know, some of our children are at a disadvantage.
My name is Sir Jason. I'm Jason Wills, right? Sir Jason Wills. I always like to use that sir. I'm a teacher of British math for over 15 years. I've been teaching maths, right? All levels, but right now I'm presently in the senior level, that is both the grade 10 and the grade 11 level. We have a lot of setbacks since school has been closed due to the COVID. We have the problem with SBAs, getting students to complete SBAs. So at least there's one plus to help me when you have the face-to-face contact with students when school reopens to get those SBAs out of the way, because that's a serious setback.
My name is Miss Irene Rubina Safi. I've been in the teaching profession since 2005. One of the subjects I'm teaching is principles of accounts, and I need face-to-face interaction for principles of accounts. Also, the SBA component is one that we need to see the students face-to-face. I mean, our students, for our students here, our students are not that much. We're not like QC, to put it, right? So to explain something and so on, it might take a little, so we need to see them face to face to give them that guidance. Some students are excited to come back because they want that extra, they want that extra word from the teacher, that extra guidance. Some students, I'm being truthful, we heard that some of our students are working, some of our students, you know, that they're trying to get $1 here and there. So we do not know how many of them will return back. But of course, I'm glad that I could see everybody, but we don't know if all of them will return. For my colleagues, I can't say when we had a meeting, HM had a meeting with us, we discussed the pros and cons of coming back. Most of us, we wanted to come back because, like I said, our students, we have to see them face to face. We have to see them to work. We can't, honestly, we are not engaging everybody online. So face-to-face is the thing for us, for our students.
My name is Ashmin Sharma, and I have been teaching for over 23 years. This is my 5th school. So I've taught in Region 6, I taught in Region 5, and now here in Georgetown. Well, I knew that it was inevitable. So we are all gearing, you know, in our minds, we knew that someday we had to come out. So I have been here yesterday and today, and we are all working together to see that, you know, the environment is conducive. The most difficult thing for me would be monitoring and supervision, because that was one of the difficult tasks. You have to be looking at the children all the time. And so now that is the most challenging task that I'm foreseeing. We have a lot of work to do for the first, because remember, they have been away from school for about 7 months, and they would have missed their peers and so on. So yes, for the first, we'll have some work to do, but as the time goes by, it might become, you know, easier.
All right, my name is Bethon Richmond. And I've been teaching at Southern West Secondary School for the past 17, 18 years. My subject is visual arts. Coming back to Southern West Secondary School during this pandemic will be quite a challenge. Even though we have arrangement in place, it will still be quite a challenge because our students are coming here because they're coming from various homes, from various communities, given the fact that we cannot monitor their behavior outside of the school. So we have to be very circumspect as well as them and the parents to a very large extent. The mask itself, wearing a mask is quite a challenge in a way that it hamper or affect your breathing in one way or the other. But in terms of being away from home because you're able to interact with the students on a regular basis, it gives you a kind of encouragement to come. But at the same time, you still have to be very circumspect.
For the reopening of schools, the Ministry of Education's book distribution unit has been put in charge of distributing care packages for teachers, students, cleaners, and dorm parents.
We know that parents are concerned, and even some students are very concerned. But we're not sending in the students into the school just like that. They have lots of important pieces of things that will help to protect them against the virus. We're all familiar with this. These are the disposable non-surgical masks. These are face shields. We have the Environ cleaning sanitizers. And this is, of course, the bottles to place them in. These are hand sanitizers. We have some vitamins that we'll be distributing to students and teachers. These are vitamin C. This here is Bico tablets, vitamin D tablets. We have Vitone Tonic. This is an infrared thermometer for students to be tested, their temperature, before they actually enter into the schools. And we have a number of signage. This is a stop here sign. This one is stop. All persons entering this school must have their temperature checked. And there are some pictures along that line. This one is about the importance of wearing a mask and how to wear a mask. These are some guidelines, some tips or routines for cleaning and disinfecting of all public schools. And of course, the auxiliary staff mainly will be using those. Practice social distancing signage. A number of guidelines along that line. And the last one is how to wash your hands. Very detailed so that the students could be well informed how to operate under this COVID-19 season. So I'm the coordinator of the book distribution unit. This unit mainly distributes books to all schools across the country. During this period, of course, we know schools were closed since March of this year. And so it's important for the Ministry of Education to get these items into the school. So this facility was available. And so the staff of the book distribution unit really have been involved over the past 2 days in packaging these materials for all the regions across the country. Actually, we thought that when we first heard about this project, we thought we might have been required to hire more staff. But our staff came together and they were willing to put in the extra hour. So we worked overtime yesterday, and most likely today again we'll be working overtime. We're still expecting another region to come, and some suppliers are still delivering some additional quantities of items. This is done though by the staff of the book distribution unit. All staff, porters, drivers, clerical staff, we're all involved in this project because we appreciate the importance of getting these items out in an expedited manner to the schools.
When the newsroom returns, the financial, weather and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back to the newsroom. Now for a look at what's happening in sport, and we begin with cricket. Guyanese Shimron Hetmeyer, who has been striking at 150 in the IPL this season, has said it is a dream come true to feature in an IPL final. He spoke to Delhi Capitals TV after his side qualified to face Mumbai Indians in Tuesday's grand finale.
Thanks. It's a dream come true for me as well. I always wanted to play in IPL finals as well. So it's, as I said, it's really a dream come true. Tonight, I think everything really came off for us. We had a fantastic start with the bat, and then even in the middle overs, we kept our pace going as well, and then just finishing the game as well as we did as well, and that was just great from us with the bat, and then to go into the field and did what we did as well to get one of their main batsmen out in the second over of the game with the first ball as well. So it was like just all round it was a good performance from us, and it's just for us to recuperate and come again and do the same in the next game. Yeah, it's fantastic to see, like, we're all together. Everyone's just coming together, as you said. Everyone's just coming together and just doing their part, playing their part, taking responsibility, which is the main thing for us right now. It's just for people to put their hands up and just take responsibility and just do it for the team. That was fantastic, man. I honestly thought he would have gotten 5, to be honest. But it was very well done from him as well. Experience came to the fore as well, and it was fantastic to see him what he did. It was as it came down, it was a thriller coming down to the end. But I think we got over there quite comfortably, and it's just for us to do this yet again. He has done this over and over again for us this year, and he's just a great guy, great individual, great player, and everything. It's really good to just have him around and know that he's always there. Thanks for all the support, guys. It's just one more hurdle to go. Hope you stick with us and see us through.
And here now is Avinash Ramzan with the rest of the sport news. I'm Neil Marks. Take care.
We tell you now that leg spinner Hayden Walsh Jr. has his eyes set on becoming the premier spinner for West Indies in limited overs format. Still early days in his international career, the spinner says he's working overtime to perfect his craft. Akeem Green reports.
Where spinners are in high demand, especially in the shorter formats of the game. Since Devendra Bishu, West Indies search for another quality leggy. Walsh Jr. seemed the most unlikely candidate, given he was playing for the United States of America, but a stellar Caribbean Premier League in 2019, where he topped the charts with 21 wickets. Life has been in the Maroons since for the man with Antiguan roots. As West Indies look to iron out their best squad for the next year's World T20 in India, the main spinner will be key, and there is also the possibility of Sunil Narine making a return.
I definitely see myself being at the top of the world. Like I want to be number one in the world as a spinner or bowler. So just working on being that X factor is just number one in all my practices.
Walsh said his variations make him believe he's currently the premier leg spinner in West Indies cricket. Yes,
definitely. I'm definitely seeing myself as the premier leg spinner because I turn the ball one, and I have a googly, a slider, and I just think is my variations that just make it a step ahead. And also I'm not afraid to use my variations, and if I do get hit, I get hit, but I'm not afraid to use my armory.
How effective will it be down in New Zealand, do you think?
Yeah, well, of course, as I said, I haven't been getting a lot of spin off the wickets, but once I go forward with my confidence and really do put spin on the ball, I'm sure I'll be able to pick up a few wickets here and there for the team.
This is the first international tour since the pandemic for Walsh, but he will be the second time he will be under quarantine, having done the bubble in Trinidad and Tobago for the CPL. Interestingly, Walsh Jr. said he has found painting to be a way of helping him during quarantine. In New Zealand, the West Indies players undergo 14 days of managed quarantine.
A friend of mine I saw them painting, and I was like, hey, let me try that. So I was painting, and I just realized that, I really enjoyed, like, just putting together the pieces and, mixing the colors. So, I decided, you know what, this is going to be a good this is going to be a good thing to pass the time while I'm in quarantine. And it kind of, I guess, in cricket wise, I guess it helps me to, stay calm. In painting, they say you can't rush the brush. So I've just been trying to take that into my cricket, where, I don't try to rush things as much, just take the strokes nice and easy.
This CPL, he only got 7 wickets in 10 matches, but spoke about learning from Barbados Trident's teammate and ace spinner Rashid Khan. Improving his batting is also another aspect of his game. He has been working overtime behind the scenes. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Football news now. The Guyana Football Federation is working with European football's governing body, UEFA, to develop a 100-day action plan as part of its Bounce Back program to pave the way for the resumption of football competitions and development. More in this report. Under UEFA's second Bounce Back partnership in the CONCACAF region, European Football Administration and development experts are collaborating closely with the GFF team to prepare and execute its post-pandemic football recovery strategy, covering areas such as planning, communication, finance, fan engagement, remote working and crisis planning. Through the program, UEFA experts are connecting with the GFF departments and staff via a series of video conference workshops over 5 weeks, focusing on a thorough situational analysis, building unity and togetherness within the football community, action planning for the future, and preparation for the delivery of the Federation's 100-day bounce-back plan. At the conclusion of the program, the UEFA experts will continue to provide mentoring support to GFF heads of department and staff on a needs basis. The partnership represents a further deepening of ties between the two organizations under the UEFA Assist program, which provides support in capacity building, youth football development and infrastructure projects, while nurturing cooperation between UEFA member associations and national governing bodies around the world. In February, the GFF received 2 minibuses to bolster its youth development programs by improving access to and reducing the costs associated with the running of its national network of GFF Academy training centers. In 2019, also part of the UEFA Assist, the GFF and the Denmark Football Association signed an historic 6-year memorandum of understanding focused on providing technical and operational assistance ahead of the CONCACAF region's hosting of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Athletics news now. Guyana's national high jump record holder Robert Bino at the weekend donated 13 pairs of running shoes to 3 clubs affiliated to the Athletics Association of Guyana. He indicated the gesture came as a result of him understanding the struggles athletes face in their early years. Akim Green reports.
Bino's record of 2.17 meters, which was set in April 1995, still stands as both the junior and senior outdoor record for Guyana. The former collegiate athlete, who now resides in Houston, Texas, where he works as an accountant in the oil and gas field, said the benevolence was him repaying the gratitude he received in his early days.
As a young man, not having come from the wealthiest of families, I was fortunate to have had my talents recognized and fostered by some very generous people that helped me along my journey. Without them, the man you see here today may not have existed. And that is why I'm delighted to make this presentation today to young athletes and pay it forward. I fully understand the needs of our local athletes, and I know firsthand what education and opportunity can bring. I stand here today having benefited from the Amateur Athletic Association's network, the organizational's resourcefulness, diligent coaches, supporters, and a lot of improvising on my part due to lack of facilities. I'm happy to see that we are turning the corner in a different era, and the athletes have got a lot more going for themselves and support today.
AAG President Orby Hudson welcomed the donation and explained it was great to see former athletes giving back and hope more will do so.
These shoes, right now we're into the cross-country season, so they're going to come in very, very handy for athletes who are going to be going out there to train and even compete in. We are very honored to know that we have in our presence still the record holder at high jump. I think you'd have gone to Carifta as well and would have done us
Twice.
proud. Twice, you see, hear that? And what we're looking for at this time in our sport is for folks like you, I mean, to be role models. You know, our athletes must be able to reach out and touch and see these people who we have as our record holders. We're even moving into a realm now of having portraits of our athletes put up into their high schools that they're coming from.
The donation of quality shoes went to Super Upcoming Runners Track Club, Titans United Athletic Club, and Running Brave Athletic Club. Bino is a former student of St. Rose's High School. He subsequently attended Savannah State University in the United States. For the Newsroom, Akim Green.
We tell you now that the Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, was last weekend inducted as a new patron of the Berbice Cricket Board during a simple ceremony at the St. Francis Community Developers Complex in Rosal Town. Among the duties of the patron are to be the public face of the board, to be a role model for youth cricketers, to counsel youth cricketers if necessary, prepare a patron message for all publications, to be the guest speaker at the annual awards ceremony, and to assist the Berbice Cricket Board to fulfill its mandate. The new patron stated that he was very proud to be associated with the Berbice Board, as he was quite aware of its outstanding record of activities and achievements. Minister Bharat pledged that massive improvements would be made in Berbice cricket during his term in office. He disclosed that he follows Berbice cricket very closely and hailed the outstanding leadership of the board. And finally, the Albion Community Centre Cricket Club will not commence official training and practice until such time the green light is given by the relevant authorities. The Berbice Cricket Board has stated its intention of restarting the season with the aim of completing those competitions that had been put on hold owing to the coronavirus pandemic. In a release, the Albion Club said that it will at no time compromise the health and safety of its members, more so during this current COVID-19 pandemic. The club said it will continue to monitor the COVID-19 situation in Berbice closely and will make a determination pertaining to the resumption of training and practice at the appropriate time. Sport events are now permitted and gyms and fitness centers can reopen at 50% capacity under the new COVID-19 measures. From November 1 to 30, the curfew would be from 22 hours 30 to 4 hours. The new measures state that sporting events are permitted subject to the approval of the Minister of Health and in compliance with any guidelines that the Ministry of Health may issue. Every person or organizer hosting an approved sporting event shall be responsible for ensuring that the measures under the notice, as well as the guidelines that the Ministry of Health may issue, are complied with. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. My name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.